The detention block of the Crethaxian slave ship Void Reaper hummed with the sound of failing life support systems. In the dim, flickering light, dozens of alien women huddled together in cramped cells, their hope long since extinguished. Lisa, a Valerian with luminescent blue skin and crystalline eyes, pressed her face against the energy barrier that kept her imprisoned. She had been captured 3 cycles ago during a raid on her colony world, and like the others, she had accepted her fate. The Crethaxians were known throughout the galaxy as ruthless slavers. Their military might unmatched by any single species. They operated with impunity in the lawless sectors, taking what they wanted, when they wanted. Resistance was futile, or so everyone believed. The first explosion rocked the ship violently. Lisa stumbled backward, catching herself against the wall as alarms began to wail throughout the detention block. The other prisoners stirred, confusion and fear mixing in their expressions. Another explosion followed, closer this time, and the lights went out completely. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. "What's happening?" whispered Jara, a Tenthari female whose forearms trembled with anxiety. Before Lisa could respond, the sound of weapons fire echoed through the corridors. It wasn't the energy weapons the Crethaxians used. These were different, sharper, more primitive somehow. The distinctive crack of ballistic firearms. Humans, Lisa breathed, her eyes widening. The other prisoners looked at her with disbelief. Humans were relatively new to the galactic community, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 2 of their decades ago. They were considered primitive by most standards, their technology laughably outdated, their physiology unremarkable. The idea that humans would dare attack a Crethaxian vessel was absurd. Yet the sounds of battle grew closer. Leo moved through the ship like a phantom, his tactical suit's active camouflage keeping him invisible to the naked eye. The reconnaissance mission had been simple: gather intelligence on Crethaxian slave routes. But when he'd intercepted the distress beacon fragments from the captured ships and decoded the manifest showing hundreds of civilian prisoners, he'd made a decision that would likely end his military career. He'd gone in alone. The Terran Defense Force didn't authorize rescue operations in Crethaxian territory. The political situation was too delicate, humanity too new and vulnerable in the galactic arena. But Leo had grown up hearing stories from his grandfather about the old wars on Earth, about soldiers who did what was right regardless of orders. Sometimes, his grandfather had said, one person could make all the difference. Leo planted his last explosive charge on the bulkhead and moved back, deactivating his camouflage as he took position. He was covered in the dark blue blood of Crethaxian guards, his armor scorched from energy weapon hits, but his eyes remained focused and determined. The charge detonated, blowing the bulkhead inward and revealing the detention block beyond. Leo stepped through the smoking entrance, his assault rifle raised, scanning for threats. What he saw made his jaw clench. Dozens of alien women stared at him from behind energy barriers, their faces showing a mixture of fear, confusion, and something else: disbelief. They looked malnourished, brutalized, broken. "I'm here to get you out," Leo said, his voice amplified by his helmet's external speakers. He began working on the detention control panel, his fingers flying over the alien interface. Humanity's gift for reverse engineering technology, born from centuries of having to make do with limited resources, served him well now. Lisa watched the human soldier work with stunned fascination. He was smaller than a Crethaxian warrior. His equipment looked positively ancient compared to standard galactic military hardware, and he was alone. A single human soldier had somehow fought his way through an entire Crethaxian crew to reach them. Why? Lisa found herself asking, her voice hoarse from disuse. Why would you risk this? Leo didn't look up from the control panel. Because it's the right thing to do, he said simply. Where I come from, we have a saying: the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. The energy barriers flickered and died. The prisoners remained frozen for a moment, unable to believe they were actually free. "Move," Leo barked, the command in his voice finally breaking their paralysis. "Shuttle bay is 3 decks down. I've cleared a path, but we need to move fast. The reinforcements I called for won't arrive for another 20 minutes, and the Crethaxians will have sent a distress call of their own." Lisa was the first to step out of her cell, her legs shaky but her resolve hardening. She looked at the human soldier, this Leo. According to the name stenciled on his armor, and saw something the galaxy had forgotten. The stubborn, irrational courage of a species that had clawed its way up from a death world, that had survived ice ages and plagues and wars, that had learned to turn its weaknesses into strengths. "You called for reinforcements?" Jara asked as the prisoners began filing out, helping those too weak to walk on their own. "Sent a tight beam message to a Terran patrol that owes me a favor," Leo confirmed, leading them toward the corridor. "Should be just enough firepower to extract us before the Crethaxian fleet arrives. Probably." "Probably," Lisa repeated, moving to walk beside him. For the first time, Leo smiled, though his eyes never stopped scanning for threats. "I'm making this up as I go. Human specialty." They moved through the ship, Leo's tactical awareness guiding them past damaged sections and toward the shuttle bay. Twice they encountered Crethaxian stragglers, and twice Leo dropped them with precise bursts of fire before they could raise an alarm. The prisoners watched in awe. Humans weren't supposed to be this fast, this accurate, this deadly, but Leo moved like water, like he'd been born for combat, his enhanced reflexes and adrenaline-fueled endurance pushing beyond what galactic species considered normal human parameters. Earth's gravity was nearly twice that of most inhabited worlds, Earth's predators more dangerous, Earth's diseases more virulent. Humans had evolved to survive, and that evolution showed now. They reached the shuttle bay to find Leo had been busy before reaching the detention block. 3 Crethaxian shuttlecraft sat ready, their hatches open, their pilots absent. Lisa didn't ask what had happened to the pilots. "Everyone aboard," Leo ordered, helping the weaker prisoners up the ramps. "Lisa, right? I need you to pilot one of these." "Standard galactic controls?" Lisa nodded, surprised he knew her name. Leo handed her a data chip. "Navigation data. Follow it exactly. The Terran ships will meet you at the coordinates." "What about you?" Lisa asked, sudden dread filling her chest. Leo checked his rifle's ammunition counter. "Someone needs to make sure you get out. I'll hold the bay until you're clear, then follow in the last shuttle." "That's suicide," Lisa protested. "The Crethaxians will find out that humans don't leave people behind," Leo interrupted gently. "Now go. Every second counts." Lisa wanted to argue, but the alarms were growing more frantic and she could hear the heavy footfalls of Crethaxian warriors approaching. She nodded once sharply and climbed into the pilot's seat of the first shuttle. The prisoners loaded quickly, desperation lending them speed. As the first shuttle began to lift off, Lisa looked back through the viewport to see Leo taking position behind a cargo container, his rifle trained on the bay entrance. He looked so small, so fragile compared to the armored bulk of the Crethaxians who would soon pour through that door, but he didn't look afraid. The shuttles escaped. The Void Reaper, just as the Terran frigate. Indomitable dropped out of FTL, its weapons already firing. Leo made it out in the last shuttle with seconds to spare, the Crethaxian ship's weapons batteries exploding behind him. Aboard the Indomitable, Lisa stood on the observation deck, watching the rescued prisoners receive medical attention. Jara approached, her 4 arms wrapped around herself. "I've heard the stories about humans," Jara said quietly, "about their wars, their violence, their refusal to accept defeat. I always thought the galaxy feared them for those reasons. And now?" Lisa asked. Jara looked at Leo, who was being treated for his injuries while simultaneously refusing to leave until every prisoner had been examined first. "Now I think the galaxy should fear what happens when humans decide you're worth protecting." That soldier could have walked away. The smart thing, the logical thing, would have been to file a report and let the diplomats handle it. Instead, he risked everything. Lisa nodded slowly, understanding dawning. Humans don't see strangers when they look at us. They see people. And for humans, that makes all the difference. As if sensing her gaze, Leo looked up and gave her a tired smile and a small nod. In that moment, Lisa understood something fundamental about the strange species from Earth. They were dangerous not because of their weapons or their tactics, but because of their capacity to care, to empathize, to act when action seemed impossible. The galaxy would learn, she thought. Humanity, fuck yeah, indeed.